With Robinhood, not only can you trade individual stocks and ETFs, you can also seamlessly buy and sell crypto at low costs. Trade all in one place. Get started now on Robinhood. Trading crypto involves significant risk. Crypto trading is offered through an account with Robinhood Crypto LLC. Robinhood Crypto is licensed to engage in virtual currency business activity by the New York State Department of Financial Services. Crypto held through Robinhood Crypto is not FDIC insured or SIPC protected. Investing involves risk, including loss of principal. Securities trading is offered through an account with Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC, a registered broker-dealer.
Hello and welcome to jasonnewland.com. My name's Jason Newland and this is Let Me Bore You to Sleep. It's also Q&A Friday. It is. It's Q&A Friday, everybody. So it's Friday the 19th of September 2025. It is 3:53 p.m. and please only listen when you can safely close your eyes. So before I get on with the questions, because there isn't many, not many questions, very few questions today. There's been a few problems with Apple Podcasts. I'm not laughing at it, it's ridiculous, some of the stuff that's, I kind of don't know why. So it all started, we didn't start, but Anne kindly let me know, this is on 2 days ago, that the new recordings are not showing up on Apple Podcasts anymore. There's no reason why they're not showing up. I couldn't figure it out. So I refreshed them and did everything I could try and do. They still weren't giving me the latest recordings. And I spent ages on it trying to figure out what's wrong, why it wasn't working and all that stuff. In the end, I had to delete them or put them all into archive mode and then redo it on Apple Podcasts. So each podcast I've got, which is... How many podcasts have I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6... No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6... 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I think there's 12 podcasts. I've not done all of them, but I've not uploaded, but resubmitted the 12 podcasts onto Apple Podcasts. Which is kind of like starting all over again, which is frustrating. It significantly affected my stats. So I guess I'm not saying I've lost the listeners, but the listeners may not be aware of the problems I've had with the Apple Podcasts. So a lot of people there may be thousands out there that just don't know that I've not released any new recordings since the 17th. Not the 17th, since the I don't know, whatever day it was. It was about a week ago. Now I have redone it all. Whether or not it's going to work or not, because I've tested them, so it's just got a bit confusing for me as well. So I've been working on it So what I've done is I've gone back into it and uploaded a new version of each one. So according to this, So Let Me Bore You to Sleep is working fine now under the new one. And I also did... Oh, that's not available. Okay, all right. I'm going to have to add something. So all the pages, all the podcasts are now up and running. They should be. What I've also done is just look, I think I've kind of, not only have I confused myself, but I think I've confused people with all the changes that I made recently. I know this is another change, but unfortunately, I kind of had to do this because Apple Podcast is my main source of listeners. I'm hoping that everyone kind of will find them. So what I've done is my main website, jasonnewland.com, is now up and running properly again as a podcast. So if you go on there, it's got 1,000 episodes. So the latest 1,000 episodes are available. So there's 84 pages and there's 1,000. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I wonder how many in each one. 2, 3, 4. I don't know, I said there's 1,000 anyway. 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 11, 12. 12 times by 84, whatever that is. So 10 times by 80 is 800, isn't it? So, yeah, like 1,000 or whatever. I don't think it's going to go all the way back to every episode. So what I've done is I've made the jasonnewland.com the podcast for my hypnosis of sleeping deeply, which has every recording I do is on there, including all the different versions, you know, the without music, with music, 5, 10 hours and all that stuff. So I'm not just trying to have a look to see how far back it goes. There's some people in the gardens, so Vinny was barking a minute ago, but hopefully he won't be in a minute. He'll calm down. I think I've closed the window, but there's not much more I can really do. Yeah, so I think the thing is, with this, how many episodes? 1,970 episodes. So I've got 1,000 on my website. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a page where you can link to... in fact, you can go to the actual website, I think, via here. You should be able to subscribe. Apple Podcast. So you can go to the Apple... Oh, it's just all over the place. I don't know, but you should be able to see it on Spreaker as well. So I'll figure that out. I'll get it sorted. But at the moment, you can actually just listen to the latest recordings on there. It's a podcast now, like it was before. It's a little bit different to before, but it is a podcast. So you can just go to jasonnewland.com and you can listen to 6 versions of the last recording, or 6 versions of the one before that, and before that, and before that, all the way back to 2nd of April this year. A 1,000 recordings since the 2nd of April, but that does include the 6 different versions, but still quite a lot. So yeah, it makes it a little bit easier. You can use it on your phone, you can use it on a laptop, whichever way you want to do it. And for example, I'll just play, I won't play it, but it's there. I'll put it on mute. and I'll click on it, and it should pull up. Right, it also pulls up all the information about it as well, and there is a link. Hypnosis for sleeping deeply. Okay. Oh, it's not giving me a link to the Spreaker page. Well, hopefully. Okay. The other thing is I've got rid of the letmeboytosleep.com website. I just figured, what do I need 2 websites for? One's enough. It seemed like a good idea at the time when I did it, but if anything, I think it just annoyed people, because I got rid of the jasonnewland.com, which had been around for 20 years, and at least you knew how to find me. You know, if all the apps go down, or all the podcast, you know, sharing platforms go down, you can at least listen to me on my website. So it's handy. Does it allow us to, open on Spotify? Is it open on Spotify? Okay. So it's not completely synced up, but hey, it's okay. I think it's doing its job. And I'll try and make a few changes along the way to update it, make it a little bit better. But that's it, really. What else? Why is it going so slow? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 podcasts. There's like 101 shows on my Apple Podcasts archived from over the last, God blimey, however many years. So yeah, it's not the first time I've archived before and deleted stuff. But this was because it needs to be done. I think basically Apple Podcasts got confused. I'm using the confused word a lot. I think maybe I'm just the only one that got confused. It don't take much, my friend. So I should also say welcome to Karen, who's joined Jason Newland's Boring Group on Facebook. And if you'd like to join, then please do. That'd be brilliant. We'd love to have you. And that, I do believe, is all that information. It's, you know, it might be a little bit annoying. I do apologise. But, you know, it is what it is. It's all done now. I just need to do a little bit of syncing up, and hopefully, fingers crossed, when I upload this, it will update on the Apple Podcasts. If it doesn't, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's just going to, I just hope it does. Yeah. So, other than that, things have been a bit weird last couple of days, but I won't go into that. It's just, you know, a few strange things around here. So I'm going to start off with Ben, and just apologise for the noisy people outside. In fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to draw the curtain and see if I can block some of that noise out. There's still a little window open, so I closed that and I've drawn the curtains over. I've got these sound deadening curtains. I hope that they're going to... They don't seem to be making any difference. But at least I'm giving it a try. I'm putting some effort in. So Ben asks me, what is Jason's downtime? As he's always walking the dog or making recordings, what's Jason do for himself apart from boxing? as he, like, as we're talking about in my third person, what's my downtime? My downtime right now is wanting that noise to stop outside. That's my main focus. Squeaky's out there, so it's very, very noisy. Okay, my downtime. I would say boxing is my downtime, but so I'm taking Vinny out usually 3 times a day. Sometimes, if I make a lot of recordings, there'll be days when I'll just make 3 recordings in a day, which is a lot. Not recently, but I have done that quite a few times. What do I do? I like to watch a movie, especially if it's one that I've been looking forward to watching, like a new release or a new season of a TV show that's come out. Sometimes, if I get my teeth into a TV show, I will watch. I'm not saying I'd binge watch, but I will definitely watch a lot of episodes. And if I can get into it and the whole season's done and finished, I'll get through the entire lot within, maybe a month. So I might end up watching 2, 3, 4 episodes a day. But I won't sit all day watching it. I'm not going to do like 8 hours straight watching TV generally. I have done in the past, but not for a long time. Second, also, are you happy? That's a difficult question to ask. I've got no idea how to answer that question. Third, have you ever collected anything? Ooh, I have. Let's go through all the things I've collected. When I was a kid, I used to collect. So I used to get the 2 different comics every week, the Dandy and Looking, and I used to collect them. So although I'd get them every week, I'd also collect them, and sometimes I'd get them, put them all in order. I'd sit in the toilet, or sit on the toilet. I remember once my oldest brother was watching, I think, the FA Cup on a Saturday afternoon, and I went into the downstairs toilet and organised all of my comics in order, like by date. And I quite enjoyed that. I did the same thing when I moved to London. I bought Time Out magazine every week. Was it a Thursday or was it a Tuesday? But I'd buy it every week, and I had about 3 years worth collected. Big, massive old pile. That's 150 magazines. So yeah, I collected them for a few years. When I was at school, I used to collect books. I don't think it was. Oh yeah, I suppose, because finances were limited with school, I didn't have a huge amount of books, but I did have a bookshelf full of paperbacks, and I also had hardback books and stuff as well. Used to collect science fiction books for a while because there's a lot of rude bits in them. It's the truth. They'd have lots of adult scenes in these books, and yeah, I enjoyed that. I collected the Wilt books as well because I found them hilarious. So Wilt is, if you've never heard of Wilt, W-I-L-T, there's a writer, they wrote quite a few books based on this character. And it's just funny. It's really funny. What other things? I used to collect other books. I went through a period when I collected and read Star Trek books. Like, I was almost obsessed with them. And these were adventures from Star Trek, like the original TV show, but not the TV show, if that makes sense. It was like extra stories, extra adventures, which maybe is, it came before Star Trek TV show did. I don't know. Gene Roddenberry or whatever. But there was loads of those, so I used to read a lot of those. Especially when I was feeling antisocial at school, and I go through periods when I didn't want to be around anyone or be near anyone, so I would hide and read a book during lunch break. So that was a thing. I remember sitting outside. It was behind because we all had these form rooms where we'd have to sort of congregate at the beginning of the day and also after lunch, and maybe even like at the end of the day. I can't remember. But one year I was there, and I think it was the science lab. It was one of the science labs I was in. And so it had an exit out the back as well as in the front. I guess a fire exit with stairs and everything. So I used to sit outside the back, like the fire exit door, and go in that way, go in and out that way, because that wasn't the exit that most people used. So I'd hide and just sit on like near the stairwell. So I just remember that, reading the old Star Trek books. Other things, I went through a period when I got into karate, martial arts, I collected magazines. I can't even remember the name of the magazines, but martial arts magazines, martial art books, kung fu books, exercise books, books about Bruce Lee, various martial arts paraphernalia like nunchucks and throwing stars and all the standard stuff that kids would kind of perhaps get back then. Yeah, that's definitely something I used to collect. Trying to think, I went through a period when I was really into, I'm just trying to think, when I was a kid, what other things I do. Oh, I remember. When I worked in the bakery, when I was a kid, the first bakery I worked in, I worked all through the summer. So I was doing 5 or 6 mornings a week. I mean, I could have done, 7, but I think I probably did 5 or 6. And because I only worked till like lunchtime, from 6 till 12 or something. I'd come home and I'd go and buy these top trump cards that cost £1 or something. And I'd buy them. I was like, I had to buy something. And I ended up collecting these. I got loads of them. But I had no one to play them with. So it was top trump cars and top trump motorbikes and top trump planes and stuff like that. It was kind of pointless, really, but that's what I did. what would have been useful is if I'd have collected clothes, like nice clothes, so that I could have been like fashionable. That would have helped me in so many ways that I had no idea. Like, if only I'd kind of had a clue back then. Because I could have bought myself, a pair of trousers, a nice pair of shoes, fashionable stuff, I mean, not like for school as well, but something that would look good. Even like a white shirt, there's a white shirt which for school, but then you can get a really nice white shirt, proper, there's difference in clothes. I don't know why I'm trying to explain that, but there was nothing wrong with the clothes I was wearing. I just could have put a bit of effort in myself, because I could at the time. I had a little bit of money coming in from the jobs, so that would have been possibly a better way to spend my money. Oh well, it don't matter now. Then when I got to my leaving school, I had like quite a good tape collection of music, like albums and stuff. So I had probably a couple of carrier bag fulls, maybe 3 carrier bag fulls of tapes, so it was quite a few. But some of those were carried on from when I was a kid as well, so I'd had a lot of those. But then when I got to probably 1989, I started collecting comedy videos, like stand-up comedy videos, in 1989 in fact, it might have been 1988. It might have been. But I started collecting live stand-up comedy shows, live videos, like Robin Williams, Steve Martin, there's so many. Emo Phillips, Stephen Wright, Eddie Murphy, as well as like Bernard Manning, Roy Chubby Brown, Jasper Carrot. It's like any comedy, live comedy show I could get, I did. Any stand-up show I would get. So I had quite a nice collection of those. It wasn't so much that I was collecting them. I suppose I was collecting them. But it didn't... maybe, I was collecting them without not really thinking about it. I just wanted to watch them. And then I was still collecting, live stand-up albums in 1989 and more videos, but that's when it turned into a collection. So 1989, I was buying albums and audio tapes of stand-up comedians, at this point mainly from American stand-ups that I'd never heard of. I mean, I already had stuff from Richard Pryor. So this is 1990, so I was getting stuff from I was going to second-hand shops as well as travelling up to London to get to the big stores, the big music stores, like Virgin, HMV, and what's that other one? The other record shop. I can't think what it's called. But there was 3 main record shops in the West End of London, which had its own stand-up comedy section, specifically, well, not just American, but a lot of American stuff. So I kind of discovered Lenny Bruce, George Carlin, Andrew Dice Clay, Sam Kinison. Then there was Rodney Dangerfield, that I already knew about anyway, because he was already famous in this country for a long time. Bill Cosby, Richard Pryor. I think I already had Richard Pryor's videos and Bill Cosby. I had Bill Cosby's, the one where he turns 50. And so he's just sitting on a stool, and I didn't realise that he had loads of albums and stuff. So this is Bill Cosby. So yeah, I had quite a few albums of his. I had all of Richard Pryor's albums, all of Richard Pryor's live performances, including one that's quite rare. I don't anymore, but it's probably on YouTube anyway. What else? Yeah, I had a really good collection, a really nice collection, and I spent quite a few months, just pretty much all my money went on that. And I was working, and just all my money went on getting new albums, because I decided to sort of try and be a comedian, stand-up comedian, and this was part of that compulsive thing, and this is part of the whole excitement of wanting to do it. And I suppose thinking, if I listened to other people, like the best comedians in the world, well, some of the best in the world, it would rub off on me. But it didn't. It really didn't. But hey, it was worth a try, wasn't it? After that, when I moved, so I sold all of that stuff. But then I moved to London, and I started collecting comedy tapes. Like Richard Pryor, George Carlin. George Carlin was kind of my favourite, really, for a while. It just made me laugh so much. But I didn't collect. I just had some. But then when I moved to London, I really started collecting books again. I also, at this time, was collecting journals that I was writing. So I was writing journals every day, and over like a 25-year period, I had about 45, 50 journals, like pads full of my writings and my life and my thoughts and stuff. That was all destroyed a few years back. And I think I got really more into buying books, collecting books, but reading them. So anything, not just comedy books, but I really got into the Beat Generation. I also used to read Time Out and find out what the latest popular book was, and I'd end up reading that as well. So I had quite a large book collection. They were all just stacked up on top of each other against the wall. Yeah, I had a lot of books. And probably about 20 bin bagfuls. And the Beat Generation, that's when I kind of really got quite transfixed with poetry, with Allen Ginsberg. I can't remember half of them, but a lot of Jack Kerouac, all those kinds of that generation. I was reading their books. I can't honestly say that I understood a lot of it either. And I also used to read the poetry. Some of them, Snyder was another one. Some of the poetry I liked. Some of it was, a lot of it was context based. as most of it seemed to be coming out of America in the 50s and 60s. And I wasn't around then. I wasn't American. I wasn't living in America in the 50s and 60s. And I'm pretty certain, even if I was in this country, it was a different environment. You know, it would have been different. So I'm never really going to understand the vibe, not really. But I enjoyed reading them. And then I discovered, kind of by accident, Charles Bukowski, who his books would be put into the same category as Beat Generation. And he wasn't a beatnik. He's kind of like a crossover. He probably knew some of them, and he lived like some of them, but he wasn't. For anyone that's read Charles Bukowski, it's very real, almost too real, I suppose some would say, and that's what I liked about it. I quite like gritty, real stuff. Not as in horrible stuff, but just, I don't know, someone's personal opinion. And because he talks from a third person, so he talks about himself, but he's not himself. It's Hank Chinesky is the character in his books, but it's basically him. And he also wrote, because he wrote a really famous book called Post Office, Women, and I forget the other one, but there was a trilogy. And he also wrote Ham on Rye and some other ones, Barfly and things like that. I quite liked the poetry that he did. And yeah, so I had a large collection of his books, because he was quite prolific, so I had a lot of his books. Don't have them anymore. So that was me collecting early 90s comedy tapes, and then books. I would say really focused on the Beat Generation, but I also had, at that time, I started collecting Buddhist books and Zen, Taoism, and I started reading that stuff. So I got into that because that fitted in with the Beat Generation, and the I don't know, just all kind of fitted together with me, and it's something I was interested in anyway. I quite like it if I can find something that has an overlap to something else. And then when I left there, I did take my stuff with me, and I ended up moved once, twice, and then I collected more books on Buddhism. So that was the main thing I focused on around 95, like 94 to 95. It was mainly just Buddhist books that I collected. So I wasn't buying loads and loads of books, but I had a really good collection, and I would read them as well. And then in end of 95, I was evicted, and I basically just chucked everything out because I couldn't take it with me. Then I'm not sure I chucked it. I think I left it outside and the dustman took it. They weren't supposed to. It just happened to be in black bags, as was how I travelled. So I didn't know where I was going to take them. And I think I'm going to try and take them to my girlfriend's and ask if she'd look after them for me. Anyway, the dustman came and got them, and pretty much took most of my belongings, thinking it was just all rubbish. So technically I didn't really chuck it out. What else? In 1996, I was kind of starting from scratch again, so I had... The only thing I really had was, as far as belongings go, one book or two books, and that was it, and a few clothes. So I started from scratch in January 96, and by the way, it's Vinny scraping his teeth on a something, I'm not quite sure, but he seems happy anyway. He's not eating his dinner today for some reason. And what did I do? I'm trying to think what I was going to say. Vinny just stopped. Okay, I carried on with my writing because I managed to save the journals, so that was fine. So I still had all of my journals. And then I didn't buy a lot of books or anything back then. I think because I'd lost all my book collection kind of a few times over already at this point. I just didn't know if there's any point. So between 96 and then 97, I didn't really purchase much. I didn't collect anything really at all during that period. I was a security guard for over a year, and I had a girlfriend as well, so that kind of took up time outside of security work, and that was a long hours. So I didn't, apart from reading books and stuff, I just didn't really have a lot going on. Watching TV when I got home. And then late 1997, I started collecting books again. But this time it was all about self-help, motivation and self-help. And blimey, he's so noisy. Mind you, still prefer him over the squealing and the screaming outside in the garden. I don't know, it's just... I kind of just want to hear what's inside. I know it's not realistic, but just a little bit of quiet, a little bit of calm, you know. What else did I suppose like 97, it was really much, I was collecting audio recordings, self-help audio recordings, motivation, Zig Ziglar, meditation recordings for relaxing. And I was really trying to figure a way for me to, I don't know, grow as a person and become better and become calmer and to heal. I don't know. I'm not quite sure what it was I was looking for, but I collected lots of books. I read lots of books. And then, early 1998, I think it was January, I bought my first 2 books on hypnosis. I didn't read them straight away. I kind of looked at them and thought, I'll read them one day. And then I did, and I thought, ooh. And then I did an NLP course at college. Did a part-time evening course at City University in London. And that's when my interest was piqued more so in that side of things because it involved hypnosis. It also, for me, kind of involved therapy and, you know, all the things that I was kind of interested in. So I started buying loads of NLP books, all the ones I could get, and hypnosis books. Blimey, Vinny. So yeah, I started collecting all that stuff. And then really for the next few years, I built my hypnosis collection up. But then in 2000, I'm not saying I lost interest in hypnosis, but I did. I know it's true. I for some reason, I became obsessed with building websites. And I spent the next year and a half obsessively, pretty much all day, every day, working on websites. Learning how to build them, learning the code and HTML and all that stuff. And that was what I did. And I loved it. I loved every second of it. And that's what I did for the pretty much until sort of summertime 2001, like maybe May time. But then I was evicted. So I moved out, and everything was kind of up in the air, so I still had my belongings, still had my books, but I was kind of a bit aimless, to be honest. I was forced into a sales job by the job centre, and although I was quite good at it, it was difficult, very difficult to do that. And I stopped reading. I stopped doing any website building. I stopped being interested in anything during that period. And then September, I moved to where my nan was because she was ill. So I wanted to be closer to my nan. And I had a new job, again, in insurance. Well, it's selling, which is not really, it was kind of the wrong thing for me to get involved in, really, but at the time I didn't know what was going to happen. Wasn't really prepared for the outcome of putting myself in that kind of stressful environment long term. And during that period, it wasn't so bad because I no longer got involved. I completely stopped doing any kind of website stuff during 2000 and like the end of 2001, 2002, and I would say even most of 2003. Then 2004 I picked it up again. Maybe 2003 I picked it up again. But I didn't do anything for a couple of years, website-wise. But I did collect hypnosis books, like a lot. I had a huge library of hypnosis books, plus psychology books, counselling books. And this was a long time, like 6 years, 5-6 years before I even started thinking about becoming a counsellor. I was just interested in therapy, interested in how to, like, helping others, but I guess also figuring a way to help myself, maybe. So that's kind of where I was there, and I'd big book collection, and that book collection continued right the way until 2007 November, and I had all these bookcases in this place I lived. It was, even I found it quite impressive, the amount of books I had, because it was looked very professional, the setup I had. And I was doing videos with these bookcases and all these books behind me on psychology and hypnosis and psychotherapy and all this stuff behind me. It's like, yeah, I wonder how many people I can fool, as if I know something. Ooh. And then I moved. I also had videos, I had audios, I had CDs, DVDs of hypnosis stuff, courses, as well as having done courses, like live, in person as well. So I moved into a tiny room when I was at college. And I had to get rid of some of the books because it was too many. I had all these big containers full of books that was taking up half the room. I wasn't going to get rid of the hypnosis books. I couldn't be getting rid of the therapy books because I was studying counselling and therapy. So what I ended up doing is getting rid of all of the... I also used to collect... I had quite a large collection of Buddhist books as well. Probably about 50 or 60 Buddhist books, maybe 100. It was quite a lot anyway. I donated them to the Buddhist Centre, and then I gave away all of my philosophy books, which again I had a big collection of like philosophy, and not just philosophy but things that kind of minded, So I got rid of all of those, gave them to a second-hand shop, and then I kind of halved, I don't say halved my book collection, but there was also all the other stuff like about creativity and really anything that wasn't to do with hypnosis or therapy I got rid of, which cut down my book collection by probably a half, maybe a quarter. Maybe I knocked a quarter off of it. And then I moved again. Then I moved again, and that was the place before I moved in here, and that was even smaller. Well, probably not smaller, but it was damp. My books were starting to rot. I know, it's not good. And I had a bit of an episode, and I actually destroyed all of my books, apart from one, which was the Teachings of the Buddha, which I've had for probably since about 1992. So I've had that book for quite a while. That was the only surviving book. So yeah, that was probably the biggest collection I had, was probably hypnosis books. But I also had a pretty healthy Buddhist collection as well. There wasn't even enough room on the shelves in the Buddhist Centre to put them on, because there was so many. So other than that, I'm trying to think of any other things that I've collected recently over the last few years, the last 10 years. I can't think of anything, so that's kind of really it. Books seems to be the main thing. Number 4, how is your dad? So my dad He's doing all right. I saw him last weekend. He came up to see me and with my little brother. So we had lunch around the corner, and he had some treatment and stuff for a condition. He's getting his energy back, and he seems to be doing well. He seems to be positive and seems to be doing good. And I think he enjoyed sort of spending time with two of his sons together at the same time out, which is only kind of, that doesn't happen too often, although it did happen just before Christmas. But that was the first time they'd, outside of the town that he lives, it's the second time pretty much in decades that we've all kind of got together. So that was nice. But yeah, he seems to be doing good. Maria asks, with your previous interest in martial arts, have you ever practiced Tai Chi or Qigong? Also, what are your thoughts on meditation? Yes, and yes. I did a bit of Tai Chi and Qigong. I think they were both probably connected to the Buddhist Center. So what we'd have is there'd be a practitioner would come along and do a course, maybe a 6-week course on Tai Chi, or a regular Tuesday night on Tai Chi or Qigong and stuff. So I did a little bit of Tai Chi, but the one I really liked was Qigong, but I did it minimally. I don't mean I changed the way I did it, but I mean I didn't do much of it. But I did appreciate the slow movements, the micro movements, the real, like the idea of like holding a ball and passing that energy ball to another person, and just that slow movement. I mean, I'm doing it now. You can't see me do it, but it feels nice. And because I'm quite a slow person anyway, moving slowly is my default, really. And which brings me to your meditation. I think meditation's great. I kind of meditate every day using walking meditation. So when I take Vinny out, I walk very slowly. And what I do is I focus on my feet on the ground, how my feet feel, how my body feels as I walk. And it's also part of like pain control, because I've got arthritis in my lower back, and it plays up, whenever I move, basically. It's hurting now. I say hurting, but I can feel it now. And when I walk, when I sit down for too long. So when I walk, I can feel it. So sometimes by focusing on all of my body, movement, it eases that. It kind of reminds me that I've got a whole body that has feeling, not just that one part. And included in that meditation, as well as being aware of Vinny, because I have to be aware of what he's up to, and I need to also be aware of my surroundings. But I'd say that's part of the meditation, and that's my natural state, is to be perhaps too aware of my surroundings, to be honest. But the weather, the wind, the air, the feeling of the wind on my face, the feeling of breathing in my lungs, the temperature on my hands, on my face, the sun maybe shining, and just little things like that, the sounds of the birds or the wind or the traffic, just little things, or dogs in the background. All that stuff In fact, even like next door, like, you know, with all of the kids and the dogs barking over there, that is fine when I'm meditating. I don't need quiet. I just incorporate it into the meditation and just be one with it. I should try and do that when I do a recording, really, shouldn't I? Be one. Be one, my son. I don't do so much traditional meditation anymore. Although I did meditate the other day. I could perhaps do with it. But I like to walk in meditation because I do it every time. Unless I'm talking to someone, then I'm not. But if I'm on my own with him, and we're just walking slowly. I mean, it's probably not the most deep meditation practice, but there is a meditation practice there. There is an intention to slow things down, to allow things to slow down. So I'm not trying to force my breathing to become deeper and slower, but I allow my body, my mind, allow for that to happen. And I don't try and cause my mind to slow down and for the thoughts to maybe vanish or just dissipate or slow. But I'm open to that happening. So yeah, it's quite nice. I do that every day. If I can. Sometimes I can't. But I'll be honest, sometimes I'm not in the right frame of mind. But if I can, I will. It's better when there's no one else around. Because I do, especially if I can walk really slow, like super slow. If there's no one around, it doesn't look quite so weird. But when there's people around, I walk at a very, very slow pace anyway. But there's an even slower pace with meditation, with meditative walking. And it can be literally almost micro movements. I don't really do that when I'm out. But I do focus on my feet when I'm walking. I focus on my balance. I focus on my back. Not just my lower back, but also my upper back, my shoulders, my posture, my neck. Just noticing how I feel. And that's my connection with Qigong and meditation. Because like the moving, walking meditation, you could say is Qigong. You could say it is Tai Chi. Oh no, I'm not an expert on any of this stuff. I do know more about meditation than I know about Tai Chi or Qigong. I think it's all really, really good stuff. And in some ways, I think Tai Chi and Qigong, because it's movement, it's got an extra dimension added to it. I'm never going to be able to, I say I'm never going to because I tried for years to do this and it didn't work. So sitting on a cushion isn't something I can do. On the floor, on a cushion, no. I tried it I think I did it all the way from November 2002 to 2004, maybe even 2005. Seriously, I tried for years to sit on a cushion. I did sit on a cushion for years and then have to get up and sit on a chair. And I was just in pain for that whole time. And eventually, they tried every which way At one point I had about 17 cushions. I had scaffolding holding me up, but it still didn't work. I had an elastic band tied to my head so I didn't fall off. I don't know. But yeah, I like the idea of movement. A little bit of movement is nice. Doesn't have to be the whole body. I mean, Tai Chi can be used by anyone who has access to movement of some of their limbs. So if someone was in a wheelchair, they'd still be able to do it with their hands. Or, there's going to be limitations, I suppose, if someone's unable to move their body. But I'm guessing meditation would be fine in that situation. But I imagine, imagining doing the movements would be calming. Imagining doing Tai Chi in your mind, or doing Qigong. Qigong. But yeah, I don't know enough about it, but out of the two, because Tai Chi, I did Tai Chi when I did Wing Chun Kung Fu in 2004, he taught Wing Chun, he taught Jeet Kune Do, and he also taught Tai Chi. And he basically taught that Tai Chi was just a slowed down version of a fighting style. Kicks, punches, blocks, and all that stuff. So it's really just a very slow version of a form, which would be, or a kata, sometimes it's called, which is just a mixture of movements, where it's blocking, then punching, then kicking, then sweeping, and all kinds of movements. And as the grades go up in karate or whatever discipline, the katas or the forms become more and more complicated. So it's almost like fighting an invisible opponent, or multiple invisible opponents. But Tai Chi seems to be doing that, but invisible opponents that are really slow. So yeah, I'd recommend both or all, including meditation, because it's so useful, healthy, healing. It's great stuff. I'm making myself want to go back to meditation. Blimey. So thank you for that. So Ben and Maria, I have answered both your questions. Yeah. Hope asks me, the houses in Britain are older than in Canada. Do you think they're more haunted? Do you think your grouping of flats is haunted? And have you ever lived in a place you thought was haunted? I don't know really. I don't know how to answer that. I don't think so. I mean, the big house I used to live in when I'm between the ages of 9 and 15 with my family didn't have a good atmosphere in there. I'm talking when there was no one else in the house, just me. I didn't like it. I was at the top of the stairs I was in a room at the top of the stairs. And there was 2 sets of stairs. And I didn't like it. I didn't get a good feeling about the place. Yeah, as for didn't see anything, I don't didn't anything like that. It's not really ever happened. So, I mean, I know that, you know, everything's energy, and there's more stuff we can't see than what we can see. All of the, you know, I'm looking around the room, and that big gap, I say big gap, I'm not living in a mansion, but that space between me and this desk and the television at the other side of the room is full of trillions and trillions and trillions and particles of energy waves, and all kinds of stuff that I'm never going to see or hear or feel, not consciously anyway. So I try not to sort of, when I get serious, I try not to like poo-poo other people's beliefs and things, because there's more stuff that I don't know than I do know. And that is always going to be the case my entire life. For everything I know, there's billions of things that I don't know, maybe trillions of things that I don't know. So, and I'm okay with that. I can't know everything. I don't want to know everything. Sometimes I want to know everything about specific subjects, but generally I don't know. I don't have any, I mean, my flat's haunted with a little Jack Russell, and before that it was haunted by a little ferret called Andre, and then the occasional mice. But generally, so it wouldn't bother me. It's the neighbours. As long as the neighbours are quiet, I don't really care what else happens. As long as everyone's safe, and that's all I can really ask for. So no, I think my answer to that is no. There was one incident in that house I was telling you about. We'd only lived there for a little while, and my dad had put a carpet down, and the carpet started to rise on its own, and that was strange. But I think my dad said it was like the air was going through the skirting boards or something like that. But that was very weird. It didn't happen in any other room. Then there was that poltergeist. No. Nothing really. It was just, I don't know. I just didn't. I mean, literally have lived in a mansion, I guess, technically, when I lived in the children's home in Southend. Huge building. Huge. Like mansion size, in a sense, like absolutely massive. Big grounds and massive building, really, but I don't remember ever anything happening, anything spooky, paranormal or anything like that there. And that building was probably there for a good 500-600 years, probably. In fact, I imagine when it was first built, it probably was a mansion or a hospital or something like that. Big old building. So no is the answer, really. The flats are fine. I mean, I don't have access really to any of the other flats, so I talk to a couple of the other tenants now. I've got 2 new people moving in, so I don't know them. And I speak to one of the other tenants that I speak to him every now and then. I don't see him very often. And the other 2 that I know, I speak to them every now and then, but really, I don't. It's kind of, things are changing around here. So the 2 new flats, 2 new people that moved in, I don't know them, and it's, things change. People move on, and it's, It's all changing. Whether or not they're haunted, I don't know. No, I don't think so. So, yeah. So I only had 3 people leaving messages for questions, but I did get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I had 6 questions. I'm not sure if I've answered them very well. I'm not sure if I ever answer questions very well. I never really ask, do I? You know, I ordered something on Uber Eats, and because I'm trying to get stocked up for, not necessarily just for the end of the year, but for the future, just to prepare me for what's to come. And I've been getting like toilet roll and washing up liquid and black bin bags, and just like a collection of stuff so that I've got enough to last me, hopefully for another year if I can. And so I ordered 10 bottles of shampoo. You know how many they delivered? 1. I ordered a couple of other things, but not much. They delivered 1 bottle of shampoo. The whole point of it was to get 10, so that would last me, bearing in mind I'm pretty much bald most of the time, that's going to last me a year, 10 bottles of shampoo. But no, only 1. Couldn't believe it. Never been so angry. Whoa. So I do believe that is it for today. Thank you for listening. Remember to be kind to yourself, because you do deserve to be happy. And be gentle with yourself. You deserve to feel safe. Lots of love. Bye.